schools and start talking about Montgomery County. There are two rankings for high schools that are really good or really interesting in any case. The Washington Post and U.S. News and World, and we'll talk about both at different times. Right now I'm doing the Washington Post because I had an easier time getting 10 years of data than with the other one. I actually like the other one better, but it was too complicated to get good trend data. You will see that in fiscal year 2009, oh, by the way, the Washington Post bases their data, it's called the most challenging high schools. That's how they named it. And it's based on the percentage of graduates taking AP, IBB, the advanced college level courses, and the percentage that actually take the test and pass. That's how they do it. And in 2009, we had 11 schools in the top 200. We now have 5 in the top 200, and it keeps going down. So that's another indication. The next slide. By the way, it's not that we're going to learn. It's not that we're declining. Our scores are not declining. It's that the rest of the country is catching up and moving ahead. And we're going to, at the end, see why they're doing that. This is, again, our list. And I included Northwest and Damascus. And I included those because that's up county. So you get to see our top 2 schools in up county. And you will see 1 through 5 is all, well, down county. And then Northwest is at 18 and Damascus is at 34. And in the nation is the last column. Northwest is 485, Damascus 685, and our number 1 school for this year, Poolesville, is number 93. The thing, when I look at this, I see the top 5 are all 5 top 5 are very wealthy areas in the county. I see Richard Montgomery is a county magnet school, so it attracts all the best from the whole county. That's an advantage. And then Poolesville is the most interesting to me, because when I think of Poolesville, and I've been there a lot, including as a sub-teacher, they're kind of out there, and they're a little bit away from all the things going on in the central office. They're more likely to be doing their own thing, and it's funny that they ended up number 1. So those are my comments on that. Go ahead. Am I going too fast? Does anybody want to? Good. This is U.S. News and World Report, and I bring it up, and you can see it's not that different. But suddenly Northwest is, well, no, I can't talk about Northwest. I looked for Northwest on U.S. News and World Report, and I don't know why. Maybe somehow they might have made a mistake. I couldn't find data on Northwest. That's the only schools I had that trouble with. You can see they're kind of the same. The reason I like U.S. News and World Report better, it's not challenging, it's the best. Which means they're not just adding who's taking AP courses and I say being forced into AP courses whether they want to or not to make the school look better. They get into proficiency data. And they also then make a little bit of an adjustment based on how many farms and low-income people are in the school. So that raises Magruder up, which is not even in the top 1,000 on the Washington Post, up to 514. And it takes Walt Whitman, that was in the top 200 in the Washington Post, and takes it right out of the top 1,000. So that's U.S. News and World Report. Let's turn to closing the achievement gap, which is what people talk about over and over and over again. These are our 5 lowest performing schools, and you can see they've pretty much gone over a cliff. Gaithersburg has gone from 208 to 2,033. They are affected the most by the policies that I'm going to be talking about later. There's so much talk, and it used to be achievement gap, now it's called opportunity gap. Often they talk about equity. I don't even know what that term means, but I know all my opponents when I ran for Board of Ed kept talking about equity and equity and equity. And I think it means that they care, but I don't know if they know how to solve it in this space. So you can see us that we're going down. The Office of Legislative Oversight. The Office of Legislative Oversight in 2014 came out with a report that noted that we are resegregating at a much more rapid pace than other parts of the country in Montgomery County. They called it white flight, which they like to call it, and they show that we have that problem now going on. Up where we are, it was happening in Seneca Valley and Watkins Mill. So I think equity, that's not good for equity. And so we are going in the wrong direction, and you will see some of the education reform things that I'm going to talk about later bring back the other thing. In fact, they actually bring white flight going in the reverse direction. There are schools that are so good that white people are trying to get their kids back into schools that are mostly minority. So we'll talk about that later. Good. This is us against our neighboring counties, how we're doing with this achievement gap equity kind of thing. And you will see that we're not doing so good. We were number 2, we're now number 3, we're the brown. We've been kind of declining a little, and you can see that Fairfax has been higher than us, and you can see that Howard has actually crossed us and has been increasing rather quickly. The only thing of interest I could say there is they have no magnet schools, which is kind of interesting. I also want you to look at the percentages of proficiency. It starts at 10 and goes to 50. Ours are in the low 30s. I want you to remember low 30s of proficiency when I start showing you some other proficiency towards the end of what I'm talking about. Okay? Policies pressuring performance. Warning, you're getting opinions now. I was just giving you facts. Now you're getting opinions.